the new Team Trump has another battle to fight. They're scrambling to contain the fallout from a signal chat leak, and it's rocked Washington and the world possibly. The Atlantic editor-in-chief accidentally was added to a private high-level chat on a messaging application, Signal, where allegedly it appeared military plans were being discussed, and not just any military plan, but a possible bombing. Intel and FBI Chief Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel are facing tough questions from the Senate. Now, Tulsi Gabbard maintains no sensitive material was exposed. Senate is demanding transparency. Investigation will unfold. But Donald Trump has also reacted to the leak. He's defended his team, saying that the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is a good man. He's learned his lesson. What exactly happened in this case?
Put out and say, hey, we should be doing this in a skiff?
There was no classified material that was shared in that.
So then
Signal
if there was no
chat.
classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security. Bobbing and weaving and trying to, filibuster your answer. So please answer the question. If this was Director Gabbard, if this was a rank and file intelligence officer who did this kind of careless behavior, what would you do with them?
Senator, I'll reiterate that there was no classified material that was shared in that.
Ma'am, if there's no classified in materials, share.
Senator, I was on a Signal messaging group.
So you were the John Ratcliffe on that chat?
I was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I provide some context, Senator, to that?
Yes, but I've got a series of questions.
Well, but I think it's important because at the outset, you made a couple of comments about Signal messaging using encrypted apps. So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was Signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use.
Security breach, a possible blunder by some in the Trump administration. Top U.S. national security officials in the Republican administration, for example, the defense secretary, texted war plans, allegedly, for military strikes in Yemen to a group chat. The group chat coincidentally included a journalist. That's how the chat got out. Here's a report.
US war plans for upcoming military strikes in Yemen were texted to a group chat in a secure messaging app 2 hours before it was to be carried out. Top national security officials for President Donald Trump, including his defense secretary, were part of the group chat, and it also included the editor-in-chief for the magazine The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg. He was invited in the group by none other than Mike Waltz, U.S. National Security Advisor.
They're going back and forth. A lot of resentment directed at European allies of the United States, which obviously enhanced the credibility of this chain, because everybody in the chain sounded like the people I know who are in this administration. Nevertheless, it wasn't until Saturday that I was reasonably certain that this wasn't a hoax, that I had actually mistakenly been included in a conversation of the Principals Committee, essentially the leaders of the national security community, including the head of the CIA, in this discussion of whether the Houthis should be attacked in Yemen.
Trump's defense secretary Pete Hegseth posted details of the attack on March 15th. A couple of hours later, the US began launching a series of airstrikes against Houthi targets in Yemen.
Honestly, my reaction was, I think I've discovered a massive security breach in the United States national security system, which is to say, it's almost automatically true that if the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic is being given access to this kind of information, weapons systems and packages and timing and weather in Yemen and all kinds of information about sequencing of particular events, then obviously there's a security breach.
He left the group as soon as he realized that this group was not a hoax or AI generated or a scam, but real. But to his surprise, there were no questions asked or doubts raised of his sudden disappearance from the chat group. As soon as Jeffrey Goldberg posted his story, chaos broke out. The US Defense Secretary slammed him and his credibility, as well as denied posting any war report in the group.
Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic? And were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does.
The second one included in Atlantic reporting. What is your response to that?
The US National Security Council said in a statement that it was looking into how a journalist's number was added to the chain in the Signal group chat. In addition to the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, it included Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Tulsi Gabbard, Trump's Director of National Intelligence, and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Bureau Report, India Today.